Hello, freak. We are already almost 3 hours into.
Did he say? Have I ever noticed him saying that? Hello, freak. I don't remember him ever saying. He does say something. I know the hoo hoo ha. But does he always say hello, freak?
So we haven't talked about Hitler.
Oh my goodness. Well, we kind of have.
We kind of did.
We kind of have. But let me just. Do you want to lay out your argument about Hitler, and then I'll respond to it? And
I don't know if I do want to. I mean, I actually think that I should stop because I'm kind of at the limits of. I'm at the point where the probability that I will say something stupid is starting to increase, and I would rather not, because just saying the things that I'm trying to say that aren't stupid is dangerous enough.
Yes, this isn't the topic where you want to make that kind of error.
Yes.
Right.
So I would say maybe.
Boy, is there a more charged subject?
It's funny that it's charged because, as you point out, we're pretty much all in agreement about it, right? I mean,
you find someone who's not, and they're instantly ostracized from society.
Right.
I mean, anybody who has an argument about Genghis Khan. I mean, there's a really fascinating take on this by Dan Carlin from Hardcore History, where he's talking about the amount of time that has passed since a horrible atrocity, and that there are people that will argue that Genghis Khan, who killed 10% of the world's population, changed things so badly that it literally lowered the carbon footprint of the human race while he was alive, killed some untold number of millions of people, and was responsible for their deaths. People look to him, and they find all sorts of positive things to attribute to his reign, opening up trade with China, opening up trade routes, all these different things that people have attributed to him, and that someday someone may do the same thing about Adolf Hitler. Right now, that is impossible.
I like the way he put that. He's like, he's done a whole bunch of horrendous things, but done some good things too. And that's what people attribute to him, the good things. It's almost like his good is starting to overshadow his bad. And I feel like they might do the same thing to Hitler. If I'm misreading that right there, please feel free to correct me. Y'all know I don't mind being wrong.
Do the same thing about Adolf Hitler. Right now, that is impossible.
He certainly made that job very difficult with all of the documentation, and especially the films. But let's just say the argument that I want to level, I want to be really careful to do this so that it can't be misinterpreted by anybody.
I'm gonna enjoy watching this.
Are you? Okay. If I'm cornered, will you come help?
No way, man. The knives are going out.
Oh no. Okay. So my argument from all those years ago in my my paper that I did for Bob Trivers that I mentioned at the beginning was that Hitler was a monster, as we all know, but he was a rational monster. That the program that he deployed was not what he said, mind you. What he said was wrong in many places, especially where it gets near Darwinism. It's just all tangled and broken. But what he did was rational from the point of view of increasing the amount of resource that was dedicated to producing members of his population. And so my point is, this is the danger that we are in if we allow ourselves to imagine that genocidal impulses are more or less gone from the world because we've all agreed that they're a bad thing. And the point is that they exist in a latent program, and at a point when you have austerity as a result of usually an opportunity that has run its course and has resulted in the population growing to fill that opportunity, and suddenly there's nowhere to go because the opportunity has all been absorbed. The tendency of people is to figure out what other population is weak. And if that population is across a border, then there's some excuse for war. And if the population is within the border, then it's a genocide. But the point is that is an ever-present danger for us.
Okay, I want to clarify one thing. I mean, because this argument was sort of phrased as we have a disagreement about Hitler. And I would like to point out that I don't actually disagree with anything that you just said. Because if I remain relatively silent, I don't want it to be seen that the fact that I'm disagreeing with you means, or that there is a disagreement means that it's a disagreement about any of that. I think the disagreement was something like, I said that Hitler was even more evil than we thought he was. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're pointing out the danger of assuming that you can put Hitler in he was just a monster box and don't think about it anymore. And I would say I agree absolutely with that. I mean, I've studied Hitler a lot, and there's a bunch of things that you can't say about him. You can't say he was stupid.
Right.
You can't say he was without artistic talent. You can't say that he was a poor organizer. You can't say that he wasn't charismatic.
So he wasn't stupid, great organizer. He was charismatic, and it was something else in there so they're, I guess the tightrope they're walking, because you can see they're being extremely careful in this conversation here, is highlighting the good parts of Hitler. They don't want to point those things out that much, not at all. Jordan Peterson is stepping in here just to let him know that, I disagree. I mean, I just believe that, he's just bad, and that's it. He's bad. I mean, we're not going to discount the fact that he's these things, because for his people that he was leading with all these things, that probably made him a great leader. It's what I'm hearing. Might not have been what's said, but it's what I'm hearing.
You can't say that he did wonders for Germany's economy in the first part of his reign. And so it's very necessary if you're dealing intelligently with a true monster, that you give the devil his due.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I saw in your video was, your argument was that as he was losing, instead of putting the genocide on pause and
winning the war,
that he ratcheted up the genocide.
Yeah, I don't know if it would really be. I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that it was him that did that, although I think he had a hand in it. It does appear to me that that's what happened.
Right, and my point would simply be, and again, I couldn't possibly be less sympathetic with the individual. My point is simply that from an evolutionary point of view, if your objective is coldly to increase the number of genomes that are spelled the same way that yours are on Earth, that A, he did enslave those Jews who were most fit to work in service of the German war machine, right? That's what those camps are. Not all of the camps were work camps, but Auschwitz, for example, was both a work camp and a death camp. And so there was this tendency to enslave. And
so let me ask you a question about this, because, I think you have to make a pretty tenuous biological argument to say that there's evolutionary utility in increasing the number of your kinsmen, but unless they're very close. But here's a slight variation of that. You tell me what you think about this. Is it reasonable to presume that a decent survival strategy is to homogenize your environment with regards to, under some conditions, to homogenize your environment with regards to racial or ethnic differences, to decrease the probability that you and yours are going to be killed?
Oh, yeah. Again, no defense of this,
yes.
But you are right. That
They are being careful as hell. Again, no defense of this. I'm not defending this, but you're right. Just want to point out the fact that he intentionally did some things correctly, a bunch of things, but it was to his detriment as the worst person to ever walk this planet. But they're trying to be as objective as possible, and shout out to them for doing this. See, this is the type of stuff that we need, man, the type of conversation that we need, where we can talk about the worst things in the world, but be truthful about it. Is it possible? And this is what it looks like when you're being truthful about it. Yeah, you're not trying to ruin your brand. Bret Weinstein, I've never seen him speak before, and Jordan Peterson are both being super chill. And shout out to Joe Rogan for hanging back while these gentlemen discuss. Shout out to him. I love the way he does his interviews, because he get the party started and he just fall back. Hey, y'all doing y'all thing. He just falls back. He's probably chilling right now, smoking a J outside the daggone camera, for real. He's just enjoying the conversation. That's what I would do if I was Joe Rogan. But okay, back to y'all.
To the extent that there's another population that's distinct, that population, even if it is small and has little power now might not be small and have little power later. And so undoubtedly that program is there too.
Okay.
But I would say that the tendency to believe that evolution only functions at the level of kin when you're talking about very close relatives, I believe is an error that is the result of the fact that evolutionists early on wished to operationalize fitness. And it's very hard to operationalize fitness across population level differences. And so they built a definition that is about immediate kin, but there's no logical reason to imagine that peters out at the edge.
That's fine.
All I'm arguing is that what Hitler did was go after a population inside his border that was more distantly related to the people who were his constituents, and then he went obviously after Eastern Europe and sought the future of Germany in Russia, and it took 12 million Russians to turn around the German war machine. I mean, those are military deaths. There were vastly more civilian deaths. But the point is, he did not succeed in doing what he set out to do, but he also didn't fail in the sense that he took a bunch of resources that belonged to a population that was more distantly related, and he got rid of those people. And by getting rid of them, increased the amount of resource that was available to Aryans. This has nothing to do. Genes are not interested in figuring out which genes are superior. All of the language about German superiority is nonsense. However, genes are very interested. I mean, they're obviously genes, they don't think, but they act as if they are interested in replacing alternative spellings.
And so part of the reason that you're walking through this, just so that the track of this remains self-evident, is to caution people against, to alert people to the fact that the sorts of programs that Hitler both ran and elicited from people are lurking in our, let's say, in our genome, in our set of biological possibilities. And we have to be very awake to that fact on an ongoing basis.
They are lurking in our genomes, which does not mean that we as adults have this as a possibility. Many people will not go along with this. Other people have it lurking to be triggered.
My man Joe never even came back. The conversation was so good. That's when you know. I've checked out many of Joe Rogan's interviews before, and I'm certain that this was just a little piece. This is a small piece of maybe like a 2-hour recording between the three guys. But I thought it quite impressive that he just introduced the topic, got them to talking, sat back, and just enjoyed the ride. I attempted to do the exact same thing so that y'all can enjoy it. Hopefully you got something out of it. I did as well. I probably should have had a thesaurus while listening to them discuss, because these brainiacs, man, they always use words that I'm not quite familiar with all the time, and I'm okay with that. But with my reading, especially with all the books you all have been giving me and sending me, man, with my reading of all these freaking books, y'all got me Dismantle America and Candace Owens and a bunch of other books, Shelby Steele books. I'm really appreciative of this. But I want to hear what y'all got to say about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Let me know what you thought about Hitler based off of your research and your knowledge. Not even research, just your knowledge. And once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing, man, per usual. Love y'all.